Welcome back. This is Crafting Medievally. I'm Sigurd. Today we're going to be going over restoration work. Originally this video was going to be a simple dent removal, taking a couple dents out of a couple helmets, real quick and easy. As I'm getting into looking at a pair of legs for part of that video, I'm realizing just how messed up they are, and so I'm going to turn this more into a restoration video on when you're doing repairs, things that you'll commonly have to do, and we'll talk about those. So we'll start off with the helmet video, and then I'll do some close-ups on the legs after the helmet section, and we'll dig into that. So stick around. So we're going to be talking about taking dents out. This had been living on a shelf up by the ceiling, and it fell off. I'm actually amazed that it didn't do more damage when it hit the concrete floor. So I've got a flat spot on this one that we need to knock out. And I've got a crease not sure if you can see that. There it is. That needs to come out of this one. So usually when I am taking dents and creases out of armor, whether it's leg armor or arm or helmets, I prefer to work from the inside out, at least to start with. Either over the face of an anvil or by using a ball stake. And then I'll go back on the outside and even any rippling that might have been caused by either the process of knocking it out or the deformation itself. Usually with helmets, I'm actually using mostly the weight of the helmet over a ball and letting that do most of the work. So what I'm doing there is trying to get the ball under the dent, and by hammering around where the ball is, I'm forcing this down, the ball to push up. You can do the whole dent that way. I find that just hitting it from the inside tends to work a little faster. So that's mostly got that out. I'll have to buff out the marks from the concrete. This one should be a little more noticeable. Again, normally I would hammer it so on legs or arms, it's easier to get a hammer inside. So I'd put it on the face of the anvil, and maybe I'll dent up a piece here and show you. But again, I'm going to do the same thing on this one. sometimes hard to find exactly where the ball is underneath to get it to hit right. I can still feel it a little bit, but it's mostly taken out now. So I can live with that. I'm not sure how well the camera is going to pick up the problems here. The one on the right is a fairly reasonable condition. I mean, these legs are 33 years old, so there's only so much to expect from them. But my heavy-handed apprentice beat the crap out of my legs and bent the wing all the way back behind my knee. When I straightened it out, I cracked the corners. As you can see, this has been sucked in. Bent the crap out of the wing. So, yeah, you can see here where you put a pretty good dent in there. Some of these other small ones, they've been here for a while. The whole leg is a bit rippled after 30 some years of use. One of the other common problems that you're going to probably run into, though, is as articulation lames get older, they start to ream out and get oval. We'll go into some of how to fix some of that. While cutting this out, I ground the crap out of the corner here, so I'll either weld that up or I'll make a whole new lame. I'm working on new legs, so I'm less inclined to put too much effort into these, but we'll get into it. So let me get set up to do this work, and we will start covering each aspect here. Okay, so I've drawn some circles to help find where the the dents are. There's another one back here. It's a little easier for me to see it than the camera to probably pick these up, but this is where we're going to work. So when you're working with a curved surface, you want to use a slightly curved hammer face. So that you're not marring the inside. You want to get the face close to the curvature. So if it's really tight, you want a deeper curve. If it's shallow, a shallower curve. I like to push dents out from the inside onto the anvil face to start with, and then I go and clean up the shapes on the outside when I can see what's going on. So let's start with this. So you'll find that the fingers can pick up the ripples better than the eye can sometimes, depending on the lighting and whatnot. If you have bar lighting, you can run and the bar will distort at dents. That'll help you find what you're looking for. Next, we'll move the camera over and I'll work over the T-stake, cleaning this area up. For this, I'm going to use a leather hammer just because it does less marring of the metal, so less cleanup later. As I hit the high point, the stake's going to push the low point up a little bit. A little rough there. So hopefully you can see much straighter edge now. We'll move into the working on the wing next. Okay, so hope you can see this, just how warped and distorted it is. You can see how it doesn't match the face of the anvil here. So I'm going to go in with the leather mallet to initially get it back closer to flat to the anvil, and then we'll try to get it back into shape a little better. Now, when you're making the knees to start with, when you do the whale tail, it will distort a little bit, so you'll be having to do this when you're making them in the first place. Again, not sure if you can see the shape of the tail is a bit distorted, so bring that over here. I've got a video coming in the future
on doing the flares on elbows and knees. That will explain this process a lot more. So I still have some distortions here, so work on this next.
Going to move to a steel hammer to pull some of the crimping, denting back here in, and I'm going to tighten the holes up a little bit by hammering around them to bring them back in. Okay, it looks reasonable. So working on this, I probably cracked when I first made them a little bit. I didn't know that you should punch holes when you're cutting. When you're shaping, they'll crack on you. If you've got the hole in, and again, we'll cover this in the wing videos, leave some extra metal here while you're doing the initial shaping, and then go back and tighten that curve up. But leave circles in your corners. A sharp corner will crack on you. So I'll have to go back and weld these again. You can see where the weld's cracked here. So that'll be the next stop, is doing some welding on that. So we'll get to that next and look at the lames in the next section. Okay, so the next step is going to be closing the holes up. As articulation gets used, it slowly stretches and expands the holes. You can see that it builds up an edge on both sides. So it's pretty easy to close these back up, but they're only going to stay closed for so long. Once you start teaching the metal to expand like that, it's going to deform faster next time. This gives you an idea. So I've got this hole pretty close to what it should be. This one you can see is a bit bigger. I'm not going to try to shrink it all the way down, but you can see these haven't been messed with yet. And you can see how much larger they are. So this isn't too difficult once you have hammer control. I prefer to start on the inside first because then I'm going to be hammering over the ball. So let's do a little bit of this, and it's not as bad on the inside. And then we will. I'll try to do a close-up of what I'm doing on the outside. You also need to figure out where the hole was originally, because that's going to affect the articulation. This looks like it's been stretched this direction, so I'm going to try to collapse on these two sides, but not so much on the sides. All right, let me move the camera over and we'll be right back. So when you're trying to figure out where it has moved the most, how much metal has been built up is a little bit of a clue as to what's stretched the most. So we closed a little bit. You can see that they're still pretty large. So what I'm trying to do is hammer on just the outside edge to push the metal back in towards the center using a slightly curved face. I can live with that. A lot better than it was. So not as much as I was hoping to collapse it. I don't want to thin it too much because then it'll ream out even faster. But much better than it was. Like I said earlier, these probably only have another 6 months before I completely replace them. So I'm not going to work too hard to try and fix them. Otherwise, I would, if it was newer, I would probably make whole new lames. But since they're going away, this is what I'm going to do. So hopefully that was helpful for you. You can see the bottom lame where you're dropping on concrete and asphalt and stuff totally obliterated the crease. I'm not going to bother putting that back in. The last step that you want to do before you start riveting things back together is to do a quick bolt up to check the articulations. You have been hammering on things. Some of the lames may need to be reshaped a little bit for optimum movement. I had to shape one of them. It had gotten distorted. So quickly bolt it back together, check the articulation. Any other changes you want to make, now is your opportunity to do that. And then you're ready to rivet it back together. So hopefully this has been helpful. It's a lot more of a video than I had intended on making, but I think it's valuable for newer armorers. Repairs and restoration are definitely a part of what we do, especially if you want to help out in your local groups. Helping maintain the local fighting community is a good thing. So hope you enjoyed it. Click like, leave a comment, and hope to see you again soon. Thanks.